My wife made a scorched earth bid on a watch I loved, saying she was going to give it to the person she cared about most. I was overjoyed, but then, in front of everyone, the watch was placed on the wrist of the new intern. Ever since Leo Lawson joined the company, he was always accidentally running into Victoria Adler. It all came to a head the day Victoria fired the assistant who had been with her for years. In her place, she handpicked Leo Lawson to be her personal secretary. I knew then that our 5-year marriage was about to end. Without another word, I bought all the remaining lots at the auction under Leo Lawson's name. Then, I had everything placed in front of him. For every one of these items you fail to take with you, I'm going to slap you across the face. If I can't have what I want, no one can. Chapter 1. I had just finished a grueling 3-hour board meeting. Out of habit, I dialed Victoria Adler's number. "Dear, where are you right now?" There were 2 seconds of silence on the other end. "In the parking garage." "What do you need?" "Perfect. I just finished my meeting. You can give me a ride home." I hung up before she could respond. Following the familiar path, I found Victoria's parking spot. As I rounded the corner, her familiar supercar came into view. A slight smile touched my lips. Our marriage had begun as a union of family interests, but through countless moments of intimacy, we had grown to love each other. At least in that, Victoria seemed to understand. But when I pulled open the car door, I froze. There was another man in the passenger seat. I remembered him. His name was Leo Lawson, a new intern at the corporation. 3 months ago, at a dinner I hosted for the interns, he had accidentally spilled red wine on Victoria's dress. "Good afternoon, Mr. Carter." Leo Lawson turned his head, a bright, sunny smile on his face. He was wearing a simple white shirt, the collar slightly open, looking clean and fresh. My gaze shifted from his face to his hands. His long, slender fingers were resting on Victoria's neck. "Leo gets carsick. It's better for him to sit in the front," Victoria said calmly, without even looking up. A surge of fury shot through me. I let go of the door, walked around to the driver's side, and tapped on the window. Victoria rolled it down, her exquisite face betraying no emotion. She was wearing a charcoal gray suit dress today. The necklace did look a bit tight, but that was a mistake she would never normally make. "Give me the car key." "Didn't you just ask me to pick you up? Why the sudden change of heart?" Seeing that I wasn't responding, Victoria frowned but handed me the key anyway. I took it and turned to walk away. "Where are you going?" Victoria finally reacted. I didn't answer. Standing in front of the car, I pulled out my phone and dialed a number. Goldstone Tower, underground parking, level B2. Right now. Victoria stared at me from the car, her expression turning ugly. 10 minutes later, a tow truck roared into the garage and stopped in front of her car. 2 workers got out and expertly began to secure the wheels. This time, Victoria's face truly changed. She pushed open the door and strode towards me. "Sincere Carter, what do you think you're doing? I find this car filthy. How I deal with my car is none of your business, is it?" Leo Lawson also jumped out of the car and stood behind Victoria, a picture of innocence. "Mr. Carter, there must be some misunderstanding. Miss Adler was just giving me a ride. Shut up. You have no right to speak here." I didn't even glance at him, my eyes locked on Victoria. "Right now, you either tell me to get lost or this car gets lost." The tow truck was ready, its engine rumbling, waiting for the command. Victoria's expression was terrifyingly dark. She met my gaze for a few seconds, then turned and grabbed Leo's wrist. "Don't mind this lunatic, let's go." I stood my ground, watching as Victoria hailed a cab and sped away with Leo. The tow truck driver asked cautiously, "Sir, should we still tow the vehicle?" "Tow it." Just like that, I watched as the birthday gift I had given Victoria was hauled away. I took out my phone, snapped a picture of the scene, and posted it to my social media feed without a caption. 3 minutes later, my phone started vibrating uncontrollably. Victoria might not have seen her phone, but our mutual friends were already in an uproar. "Big C, what's going on? Did your wife piss you off again?" "Bro, I've seen the way she's been with that secretary. Something's not right." "You should drop that kind of woman a sap." My private messages were blowing up, but I ignored them. I opened my contacts and found Leo Lawson's name. I'd saved it after the dinner party. My gut told me he was trouble. His feed had been updated. Can't the adult world just be a little more innocent? The text was followed by a string of sad face emojis. Chapter 2. You conniving two-faced schemer, I thought. My finger hovered over the screen for a few seconds before I turned it off. I knew Victoria all too well. The one thing she hated most was being publicly humiliated, and I had just done exactly that. Hailing a cab, I headed for the Adler Group headquarters. I hadn't told Victoria I was coming, nor did I need to. Our families had signed a strategic partnership agreement when we married. Technically, I could show up anywhere in the Adler Group's domain. The elevator went straight to the top floor. When Leo Lawson saw me, his face instantly turned pale. Miss Adler is in a meeting, Mr. Carter. Perhaps you'd like to wait. I walked straight past him and pushed open the conference room door. A dozen executives swiveled their heads in unison. Victoria, standing in front of the projection screen, froze when her eyes met mine. Meeting adjourned, her voice was terrifyingly calm. The executives quickly gathered their files and left. Victoria sat down in the chair opposite me. Are you here for an explanation? But what is there to explain? Leo really does get carsick. That's why I let him sit in the front. And he just happened to be helping you with your necklace. I turned, a cold sneer on my lips. Victoria Adler, I've known you for 7 years. When have you ever made such a clumsy mistake? Victoria's gaze flickered away, which in my eyes was an admission of guilt. Do you have to be so sensitive? He's just an intern. So an intern can do whatever he wants. In that case, maybe I should find one for myself. Victoria suddenly stood up, her high heels bringing her almost to eye level with me. That's enough. Can you stop judging a gentleman by your own petty standards and calling a tow truck? Have you forgotten how much that car is worth? Victoria Adler, the price of angering me is far higher than that piece of junk. Our eyes locked in a standoff, the air thick with tension. In the end, it was Victoria who looked away first. She pulled a ticket from a drawer. There's an auction next Wednesday. Among the lots was a limited edition watch I had always wanted, with a starting bid in the 8-figure range. I had only mentioned it casually once, but I was surprised she remembered. I raised an eyebrow at her. Victoria corrected herself. Consider it my compensation to you. I finally took the ticket. I'm planning on transferring Leo Lawson to a branch office. Impossible. I will never agree to that. Then I suppose the partnership between our families is about to come to an end. Sincere Carter, this is a work matter. Please don't cross the line. Fine. Then we'll see. Chapter 3. On the night of the auction, I was 20 minutes late. When I walked into the hall, all eyes were on me. Leo Lawson was wearing a casual hoodie today, looking completely out of place. I sneered inwardly. Wearing something like that to an event like this was just asking to be humiliated. When Leo saw me, he actually approached to greet me. Mr. Carter, you're looking very sharp today. I didn't even spare him a glance, sitting down directly on the other side of Victoria. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Leo's expression freeze, which put me in a much better mood. The auction began. I was only half paying attention until the limited edition watch appeared on the big screen. The starting bid was $12 million. I raised my paddle immediately. $20 million. A murmur went through the hall. Victoria turned to look at me, her brow furrowed slightly. $21 million, someone from the back row bid. $25 million, I followed without hesitation. In the end, my paddle remained high, with the final bid stopping at $37 million. Just as the gavel was about to fall, a voice suddenly sounded next to me. $50 million. Victoria made a gesture, stating the astronomical figure without a flicker of emotion. The entire room turned to look at her. It was the gesture for a scorched earth bid. With the Adler family's reputation in the business world, no one would dare to bid against her. And no one else could afford that price. Sold the auction hall erupted in applause, and the host immediately began to interview Victoria. Miss Adler, who do you plan on giving this magnificent watch to? Of course, I want to give it to the most precious person in my life. I had assumed I would be the one called to the stage. I never expected her to turn her gaze to Leo Lawson. In front of everyone, she fastened the watch onto his wrist. Then, with a smile, Victoria left the hall, casting a glance at me as she went. It was nothing short of a power play meant to put me in my place. Leo Lawson returned to his seat, deliberately flicking his wrist. "Mr. Carter, I'm terribly sorry. I hope you don't misunderstand." I smiled and waved my hand, pretending not to care in the slightest. But as soon as I turned away, I called the auction house's internal coordinator. "Hello. Starting from the next lot, I want everything." By the end of the auction, I had bought dozens of collectibles for a sky-high price. A server brought the items to me on a cart. "Sir, where would you like these items sent?" I smiled, waved my hand, and pointed to Leo Lawson, who was about to leave. I pulled out my phone. "I bought them for this gentleman right here. Please give everything to him." Leo, who was halfway out of his seat, froze. "Leo Lawson, you like luxury goods, don't you? I'm giving all of this to you." Leo's eyes lit up, his face a mask of greed. "But for every item you fail to take with you, I'll slap you across the face." He panicked. Seeing the crowd that had gathered around, he was trapped. He had no choice but to start draping the items on himself. His arms were covered in watches, his neck in necklaces. Overwhelmed by the weight, he collapsed to his knees. "There's still so much on the ground. Not taking it?" He remained silent. "The latest Patek Philippe, 3 million. Slap." I delivered a resounding slap to his right cheek. "A vintage Goyard classic, 600,000. Slap." I slapped his left cheek and his face instantly swelled symmetrically. "The 5 Dragon Cauldron, 320 pounds. I delivered 4 slaps in quick succession. He cried out in pain and fell to the floor as the crowd erupted in laughter. "Why 4 slaps for that one?" he sobbed, clutching his face. "That thing is worth more than your life." Chapter 4. The next day, as I was working from home, Victoria burst through the door. "Sincere Carter, did you really have to be so cruel?" She frowned at me, her usually gentle eyes now filled with disapproval. I furrowed my brow. "You seem to be in a rush. What happened?" She threw her phone at me. On the screen was a video of Leo Lawson, draped in gold and jewels, lying on the floor, his face bright red from the slaps. The laughter of the onlookers was deafening. "Whose kept man is this? How embarrassing. Making a scene at an auction, probably trying to challenge the real partner, but just ended up making a fool of himself." Leo was weighed down by at least 70 or 80 pounds of valuables. In the end, he crawled out of the auction house amidst roaring laughter. His breathing was shaky. He looked utterly pathetic. I turned off the phone. "I warned you. I don't tolerate filth in my sight." Victoria was growing impatient. "Leo just landed a big project for the company. I was just giving an employee a little reward crash." I slammed the framed photo of the two of us on the desk to the floor. Victoria flinched, staring at me in shock. In 5 years of marriage, we had never raised our voices at each other like this. Making a scorched earth bid for another man. On a watch you knew your husband wanted, is that the kind of perk you give your employees? Victoria gritted her teeth. "But even if you're angry, why would you slap someone in public because I am your husband?" I roared, cutting her off. "Is that so hard to understand? Knowing your husband likes it, yet you buy it for another man. Is that something a wife should do? Yes, our marriage was a business arrangement, but are you going to stand there and tell me we haven't developed feelings for each other in these 5 years? Victoria fell silent. "Besides, even if you have no feelings for me, that doesn't mean you can throw basic respect out the window." Victoria looked at me as if I were a stranger. "You need to calm down." She threw those words at me and turned to leave. She didn't even glance at the lavish meal I had prepared. A bitter smile formed on my lips. She had apparently forgotten that today was our 5th anniversary. Victoria didn't respond to my messages for a while. I didn't pester her. Instead, I went to inspect one of my projects. But as soon as I arrived on site, I was stopped by security. This was Victoria's way of retaliating. However, when I got home, I found that my wife, who had blocked me, had suddenly made her social media public to me again. In the photo, Leo Lawson stood beside a woman, a panoramic view of the Milky Way before them. The location tag was Iceland. The caption read, "If someone destroys your galaxy, I'll give you a sky full of stars." My hand tightened around my phone until it trembled. If Victoria wanted to fight me to the bitter end, then she couldn't blame me for abandoning all pretense of family ties. Chapter 5. Victoria returned a week later, but when she walked back into her company, she didn't find me crying and begging for her forgiveness. Instead, she found a company that had lost more than half its staff and a majority of its investors overnight. What she expected even less was that I, her husband and business partner, had also withdrawn all my shares. When she found me, I was in a cheerful conversation with a foreign business partner. The moment she saw the blonde woman, Lena, kiss me on the cheek, she lunged forward and pulled us apart. I stumbled, losing my balance, and shot her a glare. "Victoria Adler, what do you think you're doing?" She was breathing heavily. "Shouldn't I be the one asking you that? What are you doing?" "We're just discussing a project. Don't you know what a cheek kiss is?" Victoria was momentarily speechless. Of course, she knew what a cheek kiss was. But seeing me exchange one with someone else, she couldn't control herself. About you withdrawing your shares." She changed the subject, and I put on a look of extreme annoyance. "I withdrew them because I no longer wish to be your partner. Do you have a problem with that? But you can be partners with her." Victoria pointed at Lena, who was sitting across from me. My expression turned icy in an instant. "Victoria Adler, who I partner with, is none of your business. If you disrespect my partner again, don't blame me for turning on you." What partner? Victoria's breathing grew ragged. The way she looks at you is practically dripping with desire. "Are you really that blind?" Her face turned pale. I cut her off immediately. "My relationship with her is the same as your relationship with Leo. Can you stop your pathetic projecting? For once you should know when to let things go. How can a grown woman not understand that?" Victoria froze. She seemed to realize that these were the exact words she had once said to me. Gritting her teeth, she took 2 steps back, then turned and strode away. That evening, I treated Lena to dinner as an apology. When I stumbled home, drunk, I expected the house to be empty as usual, with just me to face the hollow rooms. But this time, as soon as I opened the door, the woman on the sofa looked up. "Husband," I fired Leo. Victoria's eyes were red-rimmed as she held out a termination letter. I really did despise him at first. It's just that he shielded me from a falling rock during a project inspection, and his arm was injured. I felt I had to repay him. I thought that buying him that watch at the auction would settle the debt completely, but I never expected you to show up. She paused, tentatively taking my hand. "I admit I was acting out of spite when you went after Leo. After you had the car towed, so many people were gossiping behind my back. I just lost my head and did all those things. Leo, I never actually liked him." Chapter 6. Victoria's phone wouldn't stop vibrating. She took it out and handed it to me. Messages from Leo Lawson were popping up one after another. "Ms. Adler, can you please tell me what I did wrong? Whatever it is, I can change, or do you think I was asking for too much? I've returned everything you bought for me. As long as you let me stay by your side, I don't want anything. If you don't want me, you'll truly break my heart." Victoria tapped on Leo's profile picture and right in front of me deleted and blocked him. Then she took a deep breath and looked at me. "Husband, when I saw you and that woman exchange cheek kisses, I truly couldn't accept it. If I keep playing these games with other people just out of spite, it will only hurt you. I'm sorry." The door behind her opened, revealing a room filled with gifts. What shocked me even more was that the ceiling had been transformed to look like the Milky Way. The watch I had once coveted, now retrieved from Leo's wrist, had been recustomized and placed in a box. In that moment, even the most cold-hearted person would have been moved. "Husband, let's make up. Let's be good to each other from now on." "Okay, I promise." Although I said the words, I didn't forgive Victoria so easily. I noticed she would still stare at her phone in a daze from time to time. I stole a glance. She hadn't unblocked Leo. Instead, She was using various channels to inquire about his current situation. Leo's story was now common knowledge, and he was being ostracized everywhere he went. I stood quietly behind her, watching it all, and then left without a sound. Miss Adler, the doors to the conference hall were thrown open. Leo Lawson stood there, his clothes torn and tattered, leaving little to the imagination about what he might have endured. He threw his arms around Victoria. I was planning to go back to my hometown, but I didn't expect your husband still wouldn't let me go. I was going to end it all, but I held on just to see you one last time. What did you say? A foreign delegate threw down his pen and turned to the local official. Is this how you treat migrant workers here? I quickly grabbed the microphone. Honorable guests, regarding this video, I have a few questions. First of all, crash a vase from the table flew and struck my forehead. I fell to the ground, my head hitting the corner of the table. The metallic taste of blood filled my mouth. My wife, Victoria, was now shielding Leo, looking down on me from above. Is it fun playing the victim? You think I don't know that you conspired with others to have Leo bullied at his new company? The foreign delegate stared, stunned. Victoria immediately presented them with proof of the injustices Leo had suffered at his new job. I looked at Victoria in disbelief. A paranoid psycho like you is capable of anything. The local official pointed at me, furious. From now on, your company can forget about receiving any support. Everyone began to leave the hall. Victoria gave me one last cold look. You can protect your own dignity, but not at the expense of trampling on someone else's. Watching her leave with Leo, I pulled myself up, leaning on the table. My gaze grew cold. Since I have done all I could, don't blame me for finishing this for good. Chapter 7. The room was empty except for me. Blood dripped from my hand as I picked up my phone. I made a call and gave an order to my trusted subordinate. Bring me the acquisition plan for the Adler Group. When I returned home, Leo Lawson was standing outside the door with a triumphant look on his face. It seemed he'd been waiting for me. Well, Mr. Carter. Looks like you've had a bit of an accident today. Though I was furious, I had no interest in confronting him. Since you like her so much, get her to sign this as soon as possible. When he saw the divorce papers, Leo's resentful expression suddenly brightened. He snatched the papers from my hand and slammed the door shut. I sat on the step outside, laughing at my own expense. Only Victoria Adler would ever fall for someone like him. And only she would believe that he was genuinely interested in her as a person. I immediately contacted my PR department and issued several statements. Fortunately, Lena was there to smooth things over with our foreign partners. The misunderstanding was cleared up that very day, and they even came to apologize in person, offering a 50% discount on the acquisition price. Shortly after the contract was signed, the Adler Group's profits plummeted. Leo grew anxious and started pushing Victoria to harass me at every turn. But when Victoria found me, she simply placed the divorce papers in front of me. Her eyes red. What is the meaning of this? I think my meaning is perfectly clear. My voice was mechanical, devoid of any emotion. Is this all because of that little incident with Leo? Victoria looked at me astonished. The room was filled with dignitaries and powerful people. And you think that was a little incident? And besides, do you really not know whether he was telling the truth or not? Victoria froze, and I laughed with biting sarcasm. You knew he was setting me up, but you still wanted me to apologize to him, didn't you? Victoria was silent for a moment. I spoke slowly. Yes. But if you hadn't made things difficult for him in the first place, would he have tried to frame you? He's just a kid from the countryside. How would he know all these complicated schemes? Slap, I struck her hard across the face. Cut the crap and sign it. I pushed the divorce papers in front of her. From this day forward, I, Sincere Carter, have nothing to do with you. Victoria stared coldly at the papers, gritting her teeth. I will not sign these divorce papers. Are you afraid I'll take the Adler family's money? I laughed mockingly. Don't worry. I don't want a single cent of your family's fortune. Victoria stared at me. Your head is filled with nothing but money. What about our 5 years of marriage? If you truly believed in that, you would have sent that jinx Leo packing a long time ago. Why should I listen to you? I don't want to lose either of you." Victoria looked down on me, and for a moment I thought I had misheard. "He may be a pitiable person, but I can't give up my husband either." "Fine, then I'll just have to make you accept it." She turned and left. After that, she ignored all contact from my divorce lawyer. The preparations for the acquisition of the Adler Group were ready to go. The moment everything was in place, I initiated the takeover. Chapter 8. The Adler Group's partners began pulling their funding one by one. Government agencies even launched their own investigations. Victoria was caught completely off guard. I sent my acquisition team to negotiate the contract. My representative made an outrageous offer, a price that would normally get them thrown out of the room. In the end, Victoria just didn't understand people. Victoria, who had kept me blocked for so long, finally unblocked me. On the phone, her voice sounded weary. "Are you satisfied now that things have come to this? What are you talking about? I don't understand. Do we really have to tear each other apart like this? You claim we had 5 years of history. Shouldn't you know my character by now?" Victoria was speechless for a moment before she finally spoke again. "I sent Leo away. After everything you've done? You must be joking." "It's too late," I was ruthless, showing no attachment to the past. She opened her mouth as if to say more, but I had already hung up. This time, it was I who blocked her. Victoria tried to reach me through every contact she had, but Lena intercepted every attempt. The Adler Group was on the verge of collapse, and Victoria still couldn't get to me. The fall of her empire was imminent. But I never expected my own parents to contact me. When I got home that day, my parents, Mr. and Mrs. Carter, were sitting with Victoria. They sighed when they saw me. "Sincere, why must a husband and wife tear each other down like this? What good does it do you to attack your own wife's business?" "Exactly. A little squabble is one thing, but this has gone too far." I glanced at Victoria. "You told them everything?" Victoria nodded. "Did you tell them everything, from beginning to end?" Her face went pale, and she couldn't speak. "Fine. If you can't say it, I recounted the entire saga from the very beginning." My parents were stunned. I just looked coldly at Victoria. I never intended to be this cruel, but she brought all of this on herself. I placed the divorce papers on the table. "Sign them." Husband Victoria shot up, grabbing my hand with red-rimmed eyes, only for me to mercilessly shake her off. I wiped the back of my hand with a handkerchief. A look of deep hurt filled her eyes. My parents couldn't bear to watch. "Sincere, if you two really split, life won't be easy for either of you. Just live your lives. There's no obstacle a married couple can't overcome." I shot a cold glance at Victoria. "My mind is made up. You don't need to persuade me anymore." My parents looked at each other, despair in their eyes. They knew my stubborn nature. Once I made a decision, I would not be swayed. "Fine." Victoria limply picked up the pen and, as if carving stone, signed her name. Chapter 9. I snatched the divorce papers and left without a backward glance. After we separated, Victoria desperately tried to secure new investments. Seeing the Adler Group pushed to the brink, my parents wanted to step in and help me, but I refused them all. During those months when Victoria was entangled with Leo Lawson, I wasn't up all night mourning my wife's betrayal. I was building a fortress around my own company, Carter Enterprises. The massive investments thrown in by Victoria's parents were wiped out overnight by a joint effort between me and Lena. Overnight, the stock price of Carter Enterprises soared. Victoria was stunned. She had assumed that after the separation, the worst-case scenario would be mutual destruction. Only now did she realize that leaving me was her loss. But me leaving her had no impact whatsoever. She turned to my parents, but this time they didn't let her in the door. "We did want you two to reconcile, but what is this nonsense about trying to ruin our son after the divorce? If you want to make up, use honorable means. What is this, trying to force his hand?" From then on, the woman by my side was Lena, but I didn't marry her. One day I heard that Victoria had gotten blind drunk. She called me from a friend's phone. "Are you being so heartless because you have a new flame? You used to forgive me whenever I made a mistake." I sighed heavily. Forgiving you before was my mistake. But Victoria, my life doesn't depend on you. Victoria, in that respect, she is far better than you. That last sentence seemed to hit a nerve. She begged me not to hang up, but I ended the call without a second thought. This time, I gave her no chance to find me again. I changed my phone number. The next morning, a friend informed me that Victoria had broken her leg. She had been drunk the night before and was hit by a car while crossing the street. I didn't go to see her. I just asked a friend to send a flower on my behalf, a mere formality. I heard that Victoria cried her heart out in the hospital room, begging people to bring me to her. But that was no longer possible. In the years that followed, I focused on expanding my market overseas. Victoria, it seemed, held a deep grudge against Leo Lawson. She actually hired people to recreate his fake sob story video, but for real this time. After the video was made, he disappeared without a trace. People often asked about my relationship with Lena. Of course, I knew that feelings had grown between us, but a person's life isn't just about love. Before I could become a proper husband, I first had to become a true man. The end.